Hi, so we're going to be talking about halving and quartering. When we think about using these kinds of fractions, what we have to think about is the fact that there is a whole. So in terms of a half, what you have is you have your whole. Then when you half it, what you're essentially doing is you're making two parts. Now the important part that we're trying to teach these children is the fact that both of those parts are equal. So for example, when you come to a shape, you could have a shape and you could half it. This is essentially an equally halved shape. However, if you were going to do the same shape and then you were going to cut it here, yes, there are two parts to make the half. However, those parts are not equal. Now, if we want to talk about kind of when you're thinking about sharing shapes and numbers. So if we were thinking about half of 8, now we would usually, what we would use is something called a bar model. Now a bar model is a really effective way of teaching the children how to effectively fraction numbers, and also it's really essential with division and multiplication. So our whole in this instance is 8. Now if I wanted to half the number 8, I would have to make sure that the bottom half had two parts. So then I would start to use things, and I can use objects or I can use dots to help me to use 8. So for example, if I was going to do 8 dots, I would equally share these, so taking in turns. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now with children, the really important part is that they are equal. So we will always double check with them, is this number equally shared? So we would encourage them to count them. So obviously we go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you would say to them, are the numbers equal? Are they the same? And hopefully the children will say, yes, they are the same. Now when we come to quartering, it's really similar. So if you think of a quarter, it's one of 4 parts. So with the half, it was one of 2 parts, whereas a quarter is one of 4 parts. Now again, we are still using the key word equal. So instead of dividing it into 2 parts, we are now dividing it into 4. And these parts are equal. You've got one of 4 equal parts. If I wanted to find, for example, a quarter of 16, now we could still use a bar model here. So we would create our top tier, we'd create our bottom tier, and then we would create 4 equal parts and then place our 16, our whole number, inside the top tier. Then what we will do is we do exactly the same as we did with the halving 8, and we would count out and equally share each one. So for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. We would then encourage the children to ensure that each of those parts were equal and that they had accurately counted those. So we would also get them to write the number at the bottom of each part. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. So that essentially is a very quick pit stop on how we would halve and quarter numbers as well as objects.